Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Courtney and I'm a homeschooling mom to two boys. I have a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. So in this video, I am going to start planning for my son's kindergarten year. It's crazy to think about, but it kind of feels like, you know, preschool is important, pre-kinder is also important, but like kindergarten is like the real deal, you know? So with my 5-year-old, I have previously done kind of like it wasn't really school, but it's Let's Play school curriculum. I will link it down below. I don't know if she still does it, but it's basically you're just doing like books, and then she has a bunch of like learning activities and hands-on activities and songs, as well as I think there was like some videos, if I remember correctly, not just like learning activities and stuff. And so it was so much fun. We did that, and that was right after I had my second, and so it was really just to give me and my older son a little bit of that one-on-one time. So I'm thinking of doing that curriculum again with my youngest in the fall, but we'll see how it goes. I thought, you know, we'll see how overwhelming kindergarten is, but I think my youngest would really like it. I'm not somebody who normally would like push any type of formal education on kids that are younger than 7, honestly, but you know, if they are showing interest in it, then I want to feed off of that. And I think my son, my youngest son, I think he did really good this past year with my oldest doing his pre-kinder year, and he really got involved. But I think he would really enjoy if he had kind of a special curriculum and just kind of a one-on-one time. I think he would really enjoy that a little bit more. So I'm considering doing that. I already have the curriculum, I already have it printed. I would just need to get the books because I rented the books from the library and never bought them. So I don't know. So I will keep you updated on that if I decide to do that. After we did the Let's Play school, and I can't remember how long I did it because I was thinking, I don't even want to say how long I think it took. I don't think it was like a full curriculum, like a full school year or anything. But after that, we did do his preschool year. And we did just a conglomerate of stuff. You know, we did My Father's World, we did dental and classical preschool, and we did just a hodgepodge of stuff, Moffat Girls, math curriculum, and it was wonderful, and I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a lot, though, like bringing a bunch of stuff together, but I would say that there wasn't one of those curriculums that I would have done just on their own. So I am glad that I kind of put them all together. So after that, though, after our first preschool year, we then in the summer did some curriculums that were like, I'm trying to think if they were like 8 or 10 week curriculums, and I really enjoyed those. Those were through the Little School of Smiths. I will link them down below. They went with like a book. There was me on the map, and then the other one was Me and My Amazing Body, and we absolutely loved it. It was perfect for summer because it wasn't super long, but it also didn't demand a lot, and it was also fun because it had she had a ton of videos that were linked to it and songs. She had a ton of activities, wonderful book lists. I mean, a ton of book lists, and so we absolutely enjoyed that. I would definitely recommend her curriculum, and I think it was really good for the time frame, you know, for summer. So, and then of course what we just went through, this was his pre-kinder year, and we did Sonlight as the bulk for HBL. We really enjoyed Sonlight. I plan to do kind of a review on that and what we liked, what we didn't like, what do we stick with Sonlight, you know? And so kind of look forward to that. But in this video, we will be focusing on the kindergarten. You're just gonna follow me along with how I plan what I'm gonna do for the next school year. And so while I will show you how I kind of long-term plan, and this allows me to go to that, like what I'll pull up today, and I can say, okay, this is what I was kind of planning for his Bible curriculum or his science or whatever, and I can go and look at those and see if I would still like to do those, kind of finalizing if I would or not. I will also show you the website that I will go to just to verify that our state laws have not changed. I do want to go and just show you the website, and also I'm just going to look at it to double check. And then we'll just go ahead and start going into what I'm considering for his homeschool curriculum. And that's really a big thing for me, is just because you're gonna homeschool your child and you start with Sonlight, or you start with My Father's World, or you start with, you know, whatever the curriculum is, whether it's a box curriculum or not. I know I just named 2 box curriculums, but you know, even if you're doing like Saxon math or whatever, like I think it's still important to bake the planning portion and to say, I don't have to stick with Sonlight. I don't have to stick with fill in the blank just because we've already done it. Now, obviously, the further you go, the harder it will be to make that jump, particularly like math, because not all of the curriculums are the same. Even though they might be geared towards a same age or same grade level, they may not be left off at the same area. And so it does get a little bit more tricky as you get further into your homeschooling journey, especially as your children get older. But I do want to just kind of show you that math will be a really good example. I have a couple options that I'm looking into, but just because we started with math with confidence, or we started with the good and the beautiful, or whatever it is, that we don't have to just stick with that, and that's important. So the first thing that I will show you guys is where I plan my homeschool years. And this to me is not only a good place for how I keep records, but it also, like I said, it kind of gives me peace of mind that I already have a few things planned out. Or, you know, sometimes you follow homeschool mamas who are like, oh, this is a great curriculum for history or whatever, but it is for middle school or whatever. And this is just a really good place where I can where I can log them as when my son gets to 7th grade or whatever, and I go to open it, it's like, oh, I was considering this history curriculum and I may have totally forgot about it. This is what I like so far. This is what works. So I'll show you that in a second. And then, like I said, we'll go to the homeschool website, and that we will look at my state laws, go and visit that, and then we'll start going through and looking at the curriculum, and you guys can just kind of follow me. And then there will be a video coming out shortly when I get all of the curriculum that I bought and all the books that I bought, that once I get all that stuff and it comes in, I will do videos and box openings of what I ended up buying. And so this will give you a good idea of my options, my choices, what I'm looking at, because I think that's fun. And so really why I wanted to do this video is not only to kind of like show you my process, but also to kind of show you the other options I was considering. I think sometimes, like, when we see these videos of like, oh, this is what I'm doing for kindergarten, or this is what I'm doing for 2nd grade, sometimes you're like, I want to know what else you considered, right? Because okay, so this is the website that I go to. It is the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, and so this one you can pay. I currently do not pay. I would probably look into a membership when my son gets a little bit older. So the membership is, in my opinion, I don't think it's a bad thing. I do think it would be worth the money. Again, just with the world we live in and with homeschooling, you just never know. The reason I will probably pay for the membership once my son gets a little bit older is because we are military and there's a chance that we would move around, and that just kind of complicates it a little bit. If you are somebody who lives in a state where you don't have to keep records, or you live in a state and whether you have to do records or not, if you don't think you'll be like moving around, then I don't know. It really is personal. I think it wouldn't hurt to call them and talk to them and get their opinion. But again, they're probably going to encourage you to get it. So, but they obviously have a ton of resources, and you can kind of see some of the different things that they go over. So I highly recommend just seeing what a membership would be for you and how good it would be. But anyways, this website, for free, you can go to it and you can see, if you live in the United States, you can go and see what your homeschool laws are by state. But you can just go to your homeschool laws by state, read more, and then this is what the current map is for the United States, and you can see that there is no notice, low regulation, moderate regulation, and high regulation. So again, I think that regardless if you live in a green state or not, or you live in a red state, I mean, I think it is worth it to keep records regardless. Again, when you go to, the red or the blue, they are really going to tell you what you need to have. Even the light blue, they're going to tell you, hey, this is what we require based on what age and things like that. So it can vary between, like, you need to keep attendance, you need to keep track of the hours you've done. It may also tell you what like state testing needs to be done and things like that. So again, because we're military, I keep records regardless of where we live, because, say we lived in Idaho and, it's a green state, so you don't need to notice them and you also don't need to keep records, right? But then say we got orders to go to New York, you can see it's a red state. And so this is why a membership would be very beneficial for somebody like us. You just never know. Or if you live in a state that, you live in Texas, and then maybe your husband or your wife or whoever gets a new job up in New York, just kind of keeping that in mind. And it can be very difficult. So again, not only would that mean be good to have a membership, so legally they can help you, give you advice, and kind of tell you where to go. Now, but anyway, so what you'll do is you'll just go and you just click on whatever state you're in. Where we are not in Florida, but this is what it kind of looks like. So the Florida homeschool laws at a glance, and you can see that what your options for homeschool are. You have 3. What is the school required for ages? This does vary. And then no notification except for option 1, and then do you have to have teacher qualification? So this is just really good, again, prior to homeschooling. And as military, this is definitely something that we have looked into, okay, if I get stationed in Illinois, what are my laws going to look like? Because for military, we can sometimes put in a base request that we want. And so this is always something that I would go to just to kind of see. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on our state, and we're going to go through, and I'm going to just verify what our current homeschool options are, and then we will go from there. So again, super simple, super easy. So I'm just going to go and click on ours, and I just totally messed that up. Okay, so even if you do just the snapshot where you click on the state and it gives you just the basic snapshot, what are your options for homeschooling, what school is required for what ages, you can just click on, if you go down, there's a view complete details or member only resources right here. So you do have that section right here where you have view complete details or the member only resources. So don't just stay on that main page. You do want to click, and that's where you're going to get all the step-by-step instructions. They really are going to handhold you. And again, you can definitely call them and get clarification. Okay, and then like I said, we are a Sonlight family. We thoroughly did enjoy Sonlight, and so it is a box curriculum that is also a literature-based curriculum. So we do plan on doing Sonlight again this year. Now, I am not going to do a full box curriculum through Sonlight. I will be purchasing the items that I want, and so I do want to make that very clear. Now, again, Sonlight is great. They will give me the option to get a full, well-rounded kindergarten curriculum, but we are going to just add what we want individually. And so what I am going to do is not the all subject package. I'm not going to do that one because I don't like their math choices that they have. That is just not the option I want to do. So I am going to do their HBL literature program, but I also am going to do their science program. And so if you go here and I see this is their history Bible literature program, I can choose a 4 or a 5 day. Each HBL program includes a year's worth of history, geography, Bible, and all required books, all connected with an award-winning instructor guide. Start with the HBL program and add additional subjects. So this is the foundation of Sonlight education, and we absolutely enjoyed it. So you can see what I would be needing to add is all of these items to get that well-rounded kindergarten. And so it is nice that they tell you what you're going to need to add. If you go and you do the all subjects, you can see that there's still a few things that you may need to add on, but you can see that they do give you the option to add a handwriting, science, math, and they do have several options you can choose from. So I definitely do recommend you go if you're interested and see what they have for math and handwriting and spelling and stuff like that. So, or you can just do a complete build your own package. And so you just choose the materials that suit your needs. So that's essentially what I would do. What I plan on doing is building my own package. I am going to do the History Bible Literature program, but I know I actually have some of the books that they already have. I have some of the readers and I have some of the read alouds. So what I will do is I will go ahead and build mine from scratch. I will not add every single one of these items though. But the reason that I'm going to add some of the readers and some of them I won't is because I will thrift some of these books. Or if you don't want to thrift, you could do the library. So this is the other way that you can do it. You just go to shop and then you can do the History Bible Literature They have the all subject packages, kind of like the infographic I showed you, or you can also go by subject if you just want to get something that Sonlight offers. And so, you know, it is a box curriculum, but it has so many ways where you can really choose. So like I said, I want to do their science, so I could just go over here and click on their science and then go to kindergarten. I could just go here and do their HBL for kindergarten, which is world cultures. But what we are going to do instead is I'm going to go to the all subject packages. I'm going to go to kindergarten. That's what my son would be in. And so you can see that this is 802 if I would just buy it straight out. Of course, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to try to thrift the books. And they're going to tell me right here in their tabs what's included, so I can go to that. But it is important that you scroll down here first and you choose. Sonlight gives you the option of doing school for 4 days or 5 days. Now, it's a literature-based curriculum, so typically on the 5th day it is usually just reading, extra reading, okay? And then you can decide if you want the required resources. So I'm just going to click no for right now because there's another area where I will choose those. And so it tells you what the required resources are. So it's a timeline book, the markable map handwriting. So again, some of these things I don't need because I'm not going to do the handwriting that they have offered, the math manipulatives and things like that. Okay, so again, you could just add this straight, right? But we're not going to do that. So here's the overview. I will read this later on my own time. And then also the about. I will read through that in just a minute. That'll kind of tell me what the whole program is going to be about because, again, as you notice at the top, when I clicked up here, it is world cultures is what the HBL, so history, Bible, literature will be. Okay, so then you can go to what's included, and this is really what's key, so the instructor guide. So again, I chose the 5 days, so you can see that both of my instructor guides are going to be for 5 days. Now, when you click on it, that's as easy it is. You can click just add to your cart. And then I already have the language arts K because this was actually given in the pre-kinder and it was a 4-day, but you can see where I could add that, and I'm not going to though. I do want to do Sonlight's kindergarten. So this is Science K instructor guide. It tells you what we are going to be learning about, and I will go and click on this individually and I will read about this program. So I'm adding that to my cart, and I will read through this in a minute. I just want to kind of show you how you can add these a la carte. Okay, so the Bible, I'm going to check both of these on thrift books, but it tells me this is what will be required by the instructor guide to teach. Handwriting, I'm going to do a different handwriting program. So this will just not be, I will disregard this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick my own. History, I will see if I can thrift these books. Oh, and my battery's low. Okay, and then we will come back to this timeline figure. You'll see that in just a second. Okay, language arts, I actually already own all these. I already bought these, so I'm not going to add those, but you could. Okay, so this is the first option that they do give you for math. Again, this is Math UC. I am not going to do that Math UC. So we are going to skip that. And then the read alouds, I actually already own these 2 books. So again, this is why it's nice that you can a la carte these. And there's all of these books that I will see. I also have Little House in the Big Woods. And so this is going to be helpful where you could go and see if they have this in your library, or like I said, I will go and see what thrift books is going to have. And then I do have the Fun Tales. Okay. So the resources, I am going to get one of their binders. I do love their binders. They're great quality. And then they also have the tabs in them. So I will buy that again. And then these science books, I will probably have to buy them through Sonlight, but I will see if I can find them on thrift books. You just never know. But you can see why this is such a great science program is because they add this literature component to it. I just absolutely love that. That's really why we're doing it. So because we love learning through books, and science is going to be really great to learn through books. Okay, so before my computer dies, I am going to add this. This is going to be the science experiment, kind of like the instructor guide, but it is kind of like a book. And again, I will go and I will read through that as well. Again, I already was sold on this. I already knew I was going to do this, but you know, it's now at the time where I do want to just read through it just so I kind of know what we're going to do. And then discover and do kindergarten science experiments. So I almost feel like this is new, but maybe it's not. So I do need to read through this. And let's see. Okay, so I'm going to have to read a little bit more into this. But I will go ahead and add that to the cart. That'll remind me to look into this, because this I actually don't know much about those. I'll go back. And it took me all the way back. Figure that out. Okay, so let me scroll back down to where I was at, since it just decided to cut me out. And when you go to the math, it might even let you choose a different math, I was thinking. Okay, so let's see, I'm going to scroll all the way down. So we clicked on that. Okay, discover and do science consumable. Okay, so one set of these consumable sheets is already included in Science K. You need only one. So I am going to add one of these so that for my second son I can do this. Again, it's really only if they change the instructor guide that would then end up changing the paper packet. And it just saves me a headache that when it's time for my youngest son to do this, I don't have to stress about they changed the instructor guide or they changed these. And yeah. Okay, so let me exit out of that. Okay, so then we're going to go back to the top real quick, and I'm going to go to the consumables and just make sure I got everything. So there is the samples, and you can download those if you would like to, and I've already looked through these. So I added one of these, the create a calendar, and then timeline figures. And then let's see, the lined paper, and those are for the handwriting program that I'm not doing. These are the extra language arts K student activity sheets for the 4-day. So again, this is technically what I already have for my youngest or my oldest, and so I'll just see if it matches. If it does, then I'll probably come back and buy this through Sonlight. I'm not going to though, just so I can verify that the instructor guide as well as the activity sheets are the same. Just because they flopped it, I don't know if they actually what they changed. We're not doing Matthew C. And then let's see, this is the extra science K students activities. Activity sheets. I am going to add this. This will be for my second son. Again, I'm spending all this money. I want to make sure I have enough. Okay. And then I already did add an extra one of those. Okay, and then this is the Discover and Do Kindergarten Science Supply. It's $84, but it's going to save you so much headache, especially if there's some items that are just a little bit like more difficult to find, or you don't want to go on Amazon and buy, 20 sheets of whatever, right? Like they're already going to have all that stuff and they divvy it up. So that's going to save me a huge headache. Okay, and then we go down. So this is the recommended items. I went ahead and added this. I am going to read about this and see if this is something we would want to do. Again, it's recommended, but it's not required. I did add a sheet of these. I opened this just to see what it is. And then these are elective, so I'm going to open this in a separate tab, and I'm going to look into this and see if that is something that we would want to look into. And then we will look into the next level of Explode the Code. My son has already done those 3. And then these are going to be the 5-day is also going to include. And so these will be the ones that I will go and see if I can find on thrift books. Okay, like I said, I just individually added the items I needed. I did not add the entire package. And then making sure I have my 5-day selected as well as my grade K readers, I will go to what's included. And that's then where I will go and see if I can thrift that book a little bit cheaper, if I can find it, and if it's in good quality. And if I can't, my other option would be to see if my library has it or to buy it through Sonlight. Okay, so like I said, once I get my Sonlight order in the mail and all of my thrift book orders, I will tell you then which books I thrifted, which ones I potentially will get from the library, or which ones I actually had to buy through Sonlight. And then I can kind of do like a compare and contrast on the price. How much money did I actually save? So that'll be a lot of fun to do. Okay, so what I just showed you was my son's History, Bible, and Literature, which is, what was it, Intro to World Cultures? Is that what it was? I don't even remember. And then, of course, I'm going to do Sonlight's science program for level K for his kindergarten. So the next thing we're going to talk about is math. And so math is just one of those things that I have stressed way too much about. I find that my son is not a huge math guy, and I'm not a huge math person. And in some ways, it's so easy to teach, and in other ways, it's incredibly complicated to teach. So the two programs I was considering, my computer just shut down. So the two programs I was considering was Math with Confidence. So I'll put a picture here. I do own the instructor guide as well as the worksheets for this. So this is kind of like the best option for me because I already own it. But if you're a homeschool mama, you know sometimes you do have to spend just a little bit extra money to get an option that works for your child as well as works for you. And we struggled so much this pre-kinder year with my oldest and with math and just finding one that fit. So we started with Math with Confidence, and it went into, I believe, addition too fast, and I was not happy with that. I did not like that jump. And my son also just kind of lost interest relatively quickly in it. And again, it's nothing against the program. I thought it was really good. I liked how she taught. I liked the instructor guides and things like that. And so that's why I am considering doing it. So that's going to be one of the things I'm going to pull up, and I'm going to read through the table of contents. The other thing that I am going to do is look at BJU. So Bob Jones University, they have a section that is for schools, like Christian schools, and then they have another section that is going to be for homeschooling. And so we are considering doing BJU. So when I turn on my computer, I will kind of show you BJU. It's a little bit confusing, kind of like Sonlight. You can buy it as a, I don't actually know if it's a complete box curriculum. I don't know actually if for all their grades or not, but you essentially go and you click on the grade that you're teaching, and again, go to the homeschool website, right? They have two, and so you would go to the homeschool one, and you can choose to do like the comprehensive. And again, I don't know if you can do that for like first grade and onwards, but for kindergarten you can, or you can choose to just pick and choose. And so they do have the section where you can just pick like the math, or you can do the Bible. And so I am planning for BJU because it is pricey and there's not really a way to make it more affordable that I can see. So what I am planning on doing is just doing the math. It is super affordable if I choose to just do the textbook and parent-led, parent-taught. It's like $117 or something like that. They have two other options where there is a web access, or you can do like an online version. And so I am considering doing the access. The online, I think, is the one that comes with DVDs or something, and you have to like return the DVDs. And I was like, whoa, okay, this mama, no, that's too much. So the online access, and it describes it like you get so many months access to the videos. And then you also can choose if you want like the textbook and the instructor guide, like actual physical, or you can have it all online. So what I am planning on doing as of right now, I'm the BJU online access for the math for kindergarten. And I'm also planning on, because I'm already spending so much money, I am planning on paying, I think it's like an extra $20 or $30, and they'll just send me the textbook as well as the instructor guide. And so I will get that, but then I will have online access to teacher instruction videos. Now, you know, one of the great things about being a homeschool parent is you can really pick and choose how you want your children to learn, and you can really cater it to what works for them. And my son will sit and he will watch the videos. I did read where some people were like, no, my kid did not sit and watch the videos. You can also see samples of this on their website, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that they were really well done. Some of them are dated, but not all of them, and I just thought, you know what, my kid would absolutely love that. And for me, I'm not going to do his full instruction through a video of another teacher, but as a mom who has had, you know, speech therapist and occupational therapist, physical therapist involved in my children's life, I have seen where having, you know, another individual kind of teaching my child, I have seen actually a positive impact from that. And so as a homeschool mama, I feel okay having another individual to kind of instruct my child in a subject. And because me and my son kind of, you know, clashed a little bit with the math, I thought this would just be a really good trial run just to see, especially later on for math or science when it gets way over my head. That's the great thing about BJU is, and there are other curriculums out there that do videos, but this would be just really great if like I just don't know how to explain this in a way that he can understand. And I know a lot of homeschool mamas and dads have this anxiety of, well, what happens when they get older? And I struggle to teach them. BJU, I think, is going to be a great option. And of course, I haven't tried it yet, but this is one that I am willing to try. And like I said, I will try to film this and show you, but I'm gonna read through it. It is pricey, but I think my husband will be on board for this. And like Sonlight, this is kind of the negative with BJU though, is once that trial is over, I don't have access, or once that like you only get access to the videos for a certain amount of time. So, you know, going forward with my other children, I would have to repay. So that's kind of the only negative, but just a little food for thought there. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to compare Math with Confidence with BJU Press in their table of contents, and then you know, because there's a huge difference in price. For kindergarten, those are the two math curriculums I am weighing currently. Okay, so I will finish filming this video tomorrow for me, but it'll be just a quick minute for you. And so tomorrow I will kind of fill in what I'm missing for his kindergarten. And so when you look at a curriculum like Sonlight, they're going to kind of tell you what all you should kind of include. And then of course with the HLSDA, did I say that right? Or HSLD, whatever, like they will kind of tell you on your state if there's certain requirements for your child. But again, if you don't know what to teach your kids for kindergarten, box curriculums like Sonlight or even BJU are going to kind of fill that in. So tomorrow I will finish looking into the phonics work, which would be his Explode the Code, and then of course his handwriting. I will research that. I pretty much know which one I'm going to do, but I will add that in. I also was kind of looking into a news type of thing for him, so we will research that tomorrow. And then there are some books that I like to kind of round out his curriculum. Okay, hold on, can I finish? Did you wash your hands? Okay, can you give me 1 second? So, okay, and then I'll turn it on. Okay, go get Ducky. And then there are some books that I want to kind of fill in, and that will be to go with his Bible and character and just different things like that. And so I will include what books I'm kind of looking into, and those will, like I said, will just be kind of like extra books that I want to include. And like I said, a lot of them will be on...
Ducky wants to rest with you.
Okay. Duck. Okay, he can sit on my knee. Okay, let me finish this real quick. Okay, and so I will add in those books, and that'll be like books that will cover some of the Bible topics that we want to talk about, and character, and any other books that I've kind of been like keeping my eye on and leaning towards. Now, I also am considering a Bible curriculum. It is geared more towards older kids, but it is one that I'm kind of going back and forth on, and really it just kind of is a conversation I need to have with my husband. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and compare the two math programs that I was kind of considering. So Math with Confidence is the one that I actually bought for my son's pre-kinder year, and it was just a little too advanced in the beginning, then honestly I just didn't go back to it. So click on the table of contents and just kind of see what is covered in this and how quickly it's going to progress through these items. And then I will compare it to my other option, which is, if I can click on it, the right one. My other option that I'm considering is BJU Press, you want to go to the Homeschool tab because they do sell curriculum for Christian schools. And so I went to their Homeschool website, and I go down here, click over here, go to their shop, and then you can do by grade or by subject. So I'll just show you. So you click on K5, so kindergarten, and you can just buy their whole kit if you want. They give you the option of the video courses or the textbook. So they do have where it can be parent-led or where you can actually have DVDs of a teacher teaching your kids. And so you can also do where you could just buy their Bible curriculum for kindergarten, the Focus on the Fives, you can see what it covers, or you can just click on the Math 5. So I'm going to click on the Math 5, And I am considering doing the video course. This is the math version. I'm going to go down and see if it talks about the table of contents. Of course, I could do the download the sample, and that may be what we need to do. Okay, so let's go to the contents. We'll go to the teacher's edition. I see it as okay, so I went to the teacher's edition as you saw, and so it looks like for chapter 1, this is what they're going to cover, and so I'm just going to look through this. It looks like they're going to jump into shapes. Chapter 2, okay, more and fewer. Okay, so very basic starting out, and they did say that it didn't matter if your child had a any pre-kinder type of curriculum. So that's the only concern I have, is that this might be almost too basic for my son, but I also am really liking the way it's probably going to build at the same time. Yeah, so then we get into time, numbers, and see then addition isn't until chapter 9, and it is going to get into calendar and money, so I do really like that. Okay, and then we even get into addition, subtraction, time, measurement. Okay, calendar, fractions. Okay, and there is an appendix, and I can kind of see how the teacher guide looks, and it looks really good. Very helpful. Again, it's, you know, kindergarten math, so you don't necessarily need all these answer sheets, and you can see that it's going to tell you what to say, the different colors, and it's giving you the answers as well, which is really nice. So okay, so now I'm going to go back to Math with Confidence, and so you can see that they have these obviously kind of backwards from BJU, where she's going to jump straight into the numbers, then she's going to go into shapes. We have directions and patterns, comparison. Okay, Unit 5 is addition. Again, it's not till like week 15, but I think it was at that point that it was just too advanced for my son last fall. Measurement, subtraction, and we're going to go numbers to 100, and then there is time, months, so calendar as well. Okay, so I'm going to go back one more time to math, BJU math, and I wanted to see how she progresses the numbers, or how BJU progresses the numbers one more time. 6 through 10 in chapter 4. See, 39, and so we will get up to 100. Okay, let's go back to the K5, and we'll click on math for K5. Okay, so basically with BJU you have 2 steps. So you can choose your format. So you can do online, where your teaching is completely online. You stream the videos. Okay, and then you get to choose if you want to include your textbooks or your tests, but you can see how expensive this is already. You can also do the DVD version, but you do have to return the DVDs, which I just find so bizarre. Yeah, so you can see that the DVDs, courses, and return the DVDs. Yeah, like I just feel like that is so odd. So I don't really like that idea, and so I definitely would not do the DVD version. So if I do online, you can see that it's going to be $359, which is pretty pricey. If I don't have them include the textbooks and tests, and it's only online where I would access all of that stuff, and I could print it, you can see that it's only $329. And so for $30 for me to actually get the book, you know, is not that big of a deal for me. It's $30. So I would rather probably just pay the extra $30. But you can see that if you go down, that I do have access, and then it does go away. So it will come with printed copies of your student handouts and video lesson guides, but will not include your printed test packets. Please check that you have the corresponding editions. But you can see that you will stream them through their Homeschool Hub, which I've heard only good things about. So if I choose to not have a teacher do it though, you can see how much more affordable it is, where it's only $117. So this is something that I'm going to be completely honest, I am definitely leaning towards BJU Press. So what I'm probably going to do is just talk to my husband and see what he thinks. Again, it's super simple math, but it's just something that I was really considering of trying to have a teacher do it and then being able to work with him. Okay, so that was math, and obviously you can see that I really do feel like I've narrowed it down, but it is definitely something that I will talk to my husband about a little bit more and try to decide if the money is worth it. So for me, Sonlight is not expensive because I can thrift the books and keep the books, and then I still have the teacher guide. And so for subsequent children, I am only buying the consumables. And so Sonlight really is actually an affordable curriculum. With BJU, that's my struggle though, is I really actually do like this idea of having a teacher teach my son a subject that I personally just do not really enjoy, even though it's kindergarten math, right? And I just figured that this would have been a really good trial run, particularly for the future. It might be good just to kind of change up our schedule a little bit, and he could watch his math videos. So I'm not sure. I will definitely talk to my husband, but the fact that I'm paying this price, and even with the DVDs I'd have to return them, and I don't get full access to the videos, is definitely disheartening. So again, I completely understand that, you know, they have to do what they have to do so they can continue to make money, but it is kind of a bummer. So I will show my husband, and the other thing that I might do is just buy the textbook, the complete kit, for $117 and just try this curriculum with my oldest. And if we like BJU curriculum, because this would be our first trial of just BJU in general, then that would definitely help me in the future to decide, should we not only continue with BJU, but could I justify their videos, the price for that. So that is where I'm at right now. We're gonna go in and deal with the handwriting now. My son has done various handwriting programs in the past. We did The Good and the Beautiful, the Doodles, and it was definitely just too simple, but it was really good for pen control, and so I do enjoy that. Our Sonlight did come with some very basic handwriting for his letter of the week for the pre-kinder package. Nothing crazy. And then just by my own doing, he's been practicing writing his name. So, you know, I definitely want to go a little bit further with handwriting and get an actual handwriting program. And the one that I was looking into and considering is a Reason for handwriting, and it would be their kindergarten. So when I go to their website, you can see, I'll pull you over. Okay, so I've gone to their website and you can see it's called A Reason For. So this is the one that was popping up on Christian Book, and it's pre-K, a letter introduction. So I don't think my son needs that one. So this one, I don't know, it says all new now, but this is beginning manuscript, so I will look into that one. Okay, so this is why it was not coming up, is because it's discontinued. Okay, so they obviously changed something. Okay, so then this one, I'm pretty sure it said it was for grade 1, and you know, it's really helpful when they have these, because yeah, so like he would already be doing like writing words, and we're not quite there. Okay, so yeah, so that one is definitely not the one we want. Okay, so see our new options. So I think that's what they did. Yeah, they just separated it. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So let's see what they have. So this is the one no longer available. This is revised and expanded. Yep, so it has like motor skills development. We just don't really need that for my son. Okay, so this is the all new book. So you can kind of see what we have. Creation theme, 220 pages. Okay, so that's the one we would get. I can just go through this and kind of see what we're looking at. Yeah, so all of this looks like tracing, coloring. Yeah, and this is really what my son needs. He needs more tracing, but then to do it on his own. Okay, so this looks really good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to see where I can buy this. Okay, so I'm just going to see if Sonlight has that, and I can audit and I can add it to my order. If not, I can of course order it through their website, and I'm just going to see if they have a reason for handwriting where I can just buy it standalone. Okay, it looks like I can, so I just want to see what the price is. Okay, so it's looking like it's $23.95. I'm not figuring out why they have a version that's $10 extra when they're both showing pretty much the same thing. Okay, so I did pull it up on Sonlight. I was a little confused by the offerings where it did have like extra paper to write on, and I just don't really understand if he needs that or not, so I'm not gonna go with that one. But on Amazon they do have it like 17% off right now, so I'm just going to add it to my Amazon order and I will buy it through them. And the next thing that I'm going to look at is the Bible curriculum. So it is the 1 through Apologia, and it is the Word in Motion, and this is the Old Testament version. It does come with like videos, let's see, free streaming videos. It's illustrated, let's see, learning styles. It includes Bible memorization, build your own Word in Motion. So start with the textbook, watch the video, which are included for free, which is nice. A student notebook, which I don't know if I will get that just because my kids are young. Let's see, choose the quantity and then add to the cart. So here's the textbook, so I can add that, and I will probably double check Christian book just to see if they are more affordable. This is this the notebooking journal? Yes, okay. I'm just not sure if my kids need this. Let's see. Yeah, draw pictures, complete activities. This would be something that they could easily grow into. Okay, you can also do an audiobook version, which Apologia does have quite a bit of audio type of things that they promote. So I am not going to do that. I will just read this for my children, but this might be something later on if we repeat this curriculum. And it does say it's for elementary or middle school, but I think that this would still be a good one just to kind of start into, and this could be something we could circle back around and do it again. And so you can see she's got the videos that they do, which is just a lot of fun. And I feel like my kindergartner is just ready for a little bit more. And again, if this is too advanced, we will just circle back and come to it. So, but we will do the Old Testament one. You can see it says it is designed to be done 4 days a week in 30 to 45 minute segments, and I don't know if that's with the notebooking or not, so which I'm assuming it is. So and now we are going to talk about extra books. So like I said, I like to include some extra books for my kids throughout the year just to kind of touch on other topics. So some of the Berenstain books I'm going to look through. So this was one of them, The Gifts of the Spirit, and then I will see what other character ones Berenstain Bears have or virtues. And then the other books I am going to look at, are going to be, well, they're all coming up as Berenstain Bears, so these are going to be the other ones I'm going to look at. So we have God Made All of Me. and then we have boys and girls, and these are just phenomenal books. I really enjoy these, and so I'm going to grab a couple others of these to add to our collection. And then if I go all the way back up, the other ones I am going to, let's see, the other ones that I am going to look at are the Train 'em Up series, and it's these right here. These are going to be the ones I'm going to look at. We have the one about prayer, and my kids really like it, and it comes with a CD. So I'm going to see what other ones they have. And I'll probably look on Amazon first, just because they do come with a CD, but I'll probably also check Thrift Books. And then the other books I will look into, I'm going to see if Nancy Guthrie has any more. We have all three of these books right here. I absolutely love them. I think she does a great job. So I just want to see if she has any other ones. So when I do my curriculum, you'll kind of know these extras that I'm going to pick up, and I'm sure I'll stumble across a few other ones for my boys. And then let me see, the other one I am going to look at is Explode the Code. So this is just additional phonics work. So like I said with Sonlight, I did buy the language arts for the pre-kinder package last time, and we ended up not doing it. So we will do a little bit of that. If it ends up being too difficult, then we will go in and do the Good and the Beautiful that I printed off for free. I'm not a huge fan of the Good and the Beautiful, but I figure I will give their language arts a try just for a little bit of extra practice, and even if I'm not following their lesson plan all the way. The other thing that I was going to do though is Explode the Code. That'll be the phonics work. And then our main reading curriculum will be all about reading. So we did all about reading, pre-reading, and we absolutely loved it. And he's done a phenomenal job, and I can tell he is ready to go forward. So we will do all about reading. I actually do have level 1. I know I mentioned that in one of my videos in the past. So that'll be our option. That's why you haven't seen any reading program. And then I did buy some extra readers. So in my kindergarten video, when I show my curriculum, you will see those in there. So like I said, the Explode the Code is just a little bit of extra practice, and so that's really what I'm going to look up right now. Is I'm just going to see what exactly is going to be covered in Explode the Code level 1 for kindergarten. So, and to see if it's even worth getting. So it says it's going to review the consonants and cover short vowels. So I'm just looking a little bit through the table of contents. Yeah, so lesson 1 goes into that short A with a final R. So progressing quite rapidly through, but I think that this would just be good to have a little bit of extra practice, and they're affordable, and they have a lot of kind of fun activities. There's also some tracing involved and handwriting, and so I think that this would just be really good to sprinkle in. So I'm on the Rainbow Resource Center for Homeschool, and so it's $10. I'm gonna just see. They also have another one, which is Explode the Code 1.5. So let me see what they cover in this one. Short A, short I. So again, let's see, proven method for reading success with beginning or struggling readers. Provides more practice for skills learned in book 1. So yeah, definitely if your child is really struggling, it just probably has extra worksheets in it. Yeah, I see it does. Okay, I may go ahead and add book 1 to my Amazon order. My goal next is just to go ahead and read through and see what extra books I want to add to our year. Now this doesn't include library books. We go to the library frequently, and so those will be additional books, and I will record those in my record keeping. And so if I get audited, they will not only see our curriculum and then whatever books our curriculum required, and they won't just see the extra books I'm going to buy in my curriculum, but they will also see all the library books we read. And so that's just a little tip: record everything. Okay, so I was just going to show you how I record keep for my son, and this is definitely something going forward I will make a separate video, and I'll go more in depth to what I actually hold on to and how I store the stuff for his record. And I also use our my instructor guides, or my lesson plans, however you want to explain that I get with Sonlight, as well as, because I add other curriculum besides just our Sonlight curriculum, because I add other things, I also document weekly what we got done by intermingling everything else. So I definitely keep my record pretty thorough, and it's not just because we're military and we could potentially move around, but it's also for me. It's also because if I have subsequent children, I can kind of see what worked and what didn't. And so you do what works for you, and so that'll be in another video, and I can kind of show you those things pen and paper wise. But I will go ahead and show you what I use for online, and this is really like my bigger picture. Now throughout the year I will go in, and this is where I will add like all the library books we will read. I will write all of the curriculum I bought. I will put all the books that I personally bought that we read, and all of that kind of stuff. And now I will include like our field trips, our crafts, the videos we watched that were school related. Like, this is where I will put all of this. And so I just wanted to kind of show you guys and see, this might be just a really good option that works for you, or maybe it doesn't. But this is nice because it is online. You can access it on your phone. You could access this on your computer. But should something ever happen, you know, like a fire or something happen to your records, or flooding or whatever, this is great to have where it's, you know, in the cloud, right? And so this is why I do both. Like I said though, there are certain things that I have with my instructor guide where if I get audited, that shows the attendance, it shows my hours, that is going to show just way more in depth what we did, when we did it, and it allows me to really bring in all the curriculum, not just Sonlight, into that area. So like I said, that'll be a video coming, but because I have my computer open, I wanted to go ahead and show you this, especially because, like I said, if there's a curriculum I see a fellow mama or a dad say like, hey, my kid's in 5th grade and this was a great curriculum, instead of like keeping that tab open till 5th grade, then I will just put that in my OneNote. So this is my OneNote that I use, and so I have 3 different notebooks. I have one for me and then my 2 sons. Okay, so when I go to my older son, you can see that it has his name, and then I've gone all the way up to 5th grade right now, and these are all tabs, or I guess they're sections, and then within the section you can add pages. And so like this was the pre-kinder year we just did, and I had my curriculum list, his attendance, which I did not end up keeping that in here, but it was a lot easier to keep that in with my planner that Sonlight gave me, as well as with my instructor guides. And then any read alouds we had, I could put here. I could also put any of our library books here. And then sometimes we would do crafts and projects, extras. You know, you could also do like field trips, and you know, if you have a co-op, there's just so much more you could keep track of. And like I said, this is just something that, you know, you know, and you could do attendance / hours and things like that. So like that, I'll definitely do a more detailed video later on about how I record keep. But again, this is his pre-kinder year, and so this is how I just do my curriculum list, where these are things that we did as well as curriculum that I actually bought. And so you can see like, what did we do for our morning time, our Bible time, history, Bible, literature, science, math, language arts, reading, phonics, writing, and specials. And I did this for his preschool year as well. So again, these are, you know, super basic, but obviously now going into kindergarten, I really want to make sure I keep a very good record. But as you can see, I could go to his 4th grade, and then, you know, I could go to create a curriculum page. You know, I could just copy and paste this, and in his 4th grade year, I could go ahead and put like, oh, for history or math, this is our plan. And so this gives you that ability to kind of plan ahead. Just wanted to go ahead and kind of show you that is what I'm working off of, to make sure that I keep all of this good to go. So I hope that this video was helpful, again, just to kind of see how me as a homeschool mama is planning for homeschool. Again, I'm just planning for 1 child right now. I hope this video was a little bit encouraging just to kind of see how I as a mama am planning and researching. Now again, a lot of these curriculums that you saw I pulled up, those are recommendations I have gotten from other homeschool parents. Those are curriculums I have been looking into. I'm definitely one of those homeschool moms that while I'm, September, October, November already working in a brand new curriculum, I'm already getting excited about what are we going to do next year. And so, if you haven't done that work, then this planning process is going to look a lot different for you, where you're really going to have to go down the line of, okay, what kindergarten math curriculums in general are there out there? I definitely love getting Christian books, guides for homeschooling, and they send those out very frequently, and they're separated by subject, and they're not all religious, but they will note if it's a religious one or not, and it'll tell you what age and grade, and that really helps to kind of have a more condensed view of, okay, these are all the science programs for homeschooling, and so kind of seeing those things at a snapshot. But again, once you find a curriculum or a company that you enjoy, and you can kind of look into it, and it makes the process a lot easier. And so I'm definitely glad that I found Sonlight. I think it's always great to find homeschool mamas and dads, and just throughout the year, just kind of keeping your fingertip on, your fingertip on the pulse, and just kind of keeping an ear to what are people saying, listening to reviews, especially review videos or blogs that are reviewing curriculum, and that'll kind of help as you're going forward. And you could even plan that in your OneNote, right, of like, okay, hey, I was kind of considering this curriculum and it was reviewed really good, or maybe this curriculum wasn't, and you can make notes about that. So just constantly kind of keeping in that homeschool bubble and keeping an eye on what curriculums are people saying and doing and reviewing. And again, you don't have to go with all the popular ones. BJU is not a very popular curriculum with homeschool parents, but that doesn't mean that there aren't blog posts out there. There is, videos out there. There are samples on their website. So don't think because everyone's doing one of two language art curriculums that you have to choose from one of those. Find out what works for you as a parent, because you should enjoy it. You should enjoy how they teach, but at the same time, what works for your child. If the good and the beautiful just does not work for you or for your child, you don't have to do it. There are so many options out there. 10 or 20 years ago, there was probably not as many options for homeschool parents as we have now. And there is a curriculum out there that will fit you. And you just have to go out there and you have to look for it. You have to find it. And so I hope kind of showing you what I was looking into helped you in some way. But I hope you will look forward to the video to come, where I will announce my official kindergarten curriculum, and we'll do a little bit of an unboxing, and you can kind of see me pull it all together. And I'm so excited for that. It's so much fun to plan the curriculum, and then of course it's really exciting to get it, and then you have to prep it. So, all right guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.